What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. On today's podcast, we're going over the goals that we set about a year ago. I think the episode was January 10th. That's when it was launched. So we're going to see how we did with our goals. From listening back, it didn't look like we did too good, but we're going to get into all that. So what's going on, man?
Nothing much, dude. I did get a DM. I'm not exactly sure who this person is about how he likes these pods, solo ones, better than anything, and he recommends we do more than those. He said he likes the solo pods when we don't talk about Amazon, we talk about something else. So yeah, maybe that's just one person's opinion, but he was pretty adamant about it, and I appreciate that, whoever you were that said that. But yeah, we'll try to do more because we like doing this anyways. I love getting guests. Like we just had a guest on that was. Personally, I think that will be the biggest guest ever. Like that, maybe it won't get that many views right now, but look in 2 or 3 years, yeah, dude, that's going to be a huge podcast. That guy was really smart and really big.
100%.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll go over these goals things. You know, I said I was watching that podcast. I said these might change or whatever. Honestly, I did accomplish like a lot of my goals. Surprisingly, or I got close, you know. So we'll start with the health stuff because I feel like that might have been what we started with last time.
Yeah.
So mine was I wanted to get a 6-pack, I wanted to dunk a basketball, and I wanted to fix my sleep routine and get a CPAP. So I fixed my sleep routine a lot. Like I got a CPAP, dude, it changed my life. I think I've already talked about that on here, but if you don't sleep well or whatever, get a sleep study. You can get them online. It's like $100 and then CPAP is like 1,000, something like that. Really did change my life. Like I sleep so much better. I can go recently. I've been doing all the crypto stuff. I've been sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, but I wake up energetic every single morning. So that was huge. Dunk a basketball. I got super close to doing that. And then I got Achilles tendonitis really bad. So I had to stop and fix the Achilles tendonitis. And then since then I've just been golfing. So I haven't really been trying to dunk a basketball,
Fair.
but you know, that could be something. I'm not exactly sure yet. Then the 6-pack, this happens every time I say this. I get close and then I'm like, this sucks. Why do I even need a 6-pack? And then I quit. So just typical.
Makes sense. I mean, that's close. I feel like too when you set goals, if you hit them, people always say, "Oh, you didn't like aim high enough." So for my health goals, mine was to get a sleep routine going as well. I kind of did a better job of going to bed at the same time. I've definitely done a really good job of waking up at the same time. The going to bed for me is always hard. Like I'm always just wired like right before I go to bed, even though I'm not using my phone or anything like that. I'm just like constantly thinking. But waking up at pretty much between 5:30 every day, definitely did that. My other health goal was to lose 50 pounds. I ended up losing about 35. So close on that one. Hopefully I'm going to set another health goal at the end for this one. But I was definitely happy with that progress. If you actually look at this last goals podcast, I probably look a lot different than I do on this one. So I feel like for health, that was a solid one for me as well.
Yeah, not bad. The weight thing too, that's I think a lot of the times too, especially when you start at a point where you're overweight, it's more so not about the pounds, but about how you look. Like if you look back, like, dude, it's crazy. If you look back on the happy hours we did, I'm like, whoa, dude, I didn't even realize how much weight you've lost. Like it looks like you've lost like literally 100 pounds. But the problem is I bet that you've lost 70 pounds of fat or whatever and gain muscle because you're working out all the time.
True.
So your scale weight is not going to be like down 60 pounds or whatever. But I bet if you lost your muscle, you would be like, dude, probably like 200 pounds. But you've probably gained enough muscle, probably 10 pounds or so, maybe more.
That's a good point.
That's going to make you like just bigger overall. It's really hard to, you know, unless you Ozempic your way down there or whatever.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. So and you can definitely tell. That's dope. It's always a good thing to see. I don't know if do I look fatter or skinnier? I don't know. I'll have to look back.
Let us know in the comments. Let us know. Watch back, see what it looks like.
Is Drew fatter than last year? I think that right now, man, I haven't been eating much at all because I'm just like on my computer all the time. So I'd say right now I'm probably one of the leanest I've been in a while. But on accident. It's not like I mean to be. I just don't eat. Forget to.
It's funny you say that. I'm kind of in the same boat right now. I either eat breakfast or lunch. It's either or.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. Like, I'm just not hungry. I'm sure that's not good, and my trainer is not going to be happy to hear that. But I don't know. I don't really miss it. I have been eating like bigger dinners though, and probably a little off diet, going out a little bit more, stuff like that. So that's has to like change a little bit. But for the most part, I'm kind of the same in the same boat as you.
Yeah, but I don't know if we've ever talked about this on here, but I'm sure people will relate to this. And I'm sure you experience this too. When you're trying to lose weight and be really strict, but you're also like in a relationship or have somebody like they want you to get leaner, but also like they want to go out and do fun stuff. So it really takes a toll on your relationship. That's what's I've noticed every time I try to get a six pack is dude, getting a six pack's like you can't eat much food. Like you have to lose a lot of weight. It's just like I have to be so boring and just like locked in that like any
Yeah.
girl in my life, it's just like, what are you doing? Like we don't do anything fun. So I noticed that too. That like
Yeah, when you
when
do
you're
it
doing that,
together with someone, it's so much easier because you're kind of on the
Mhm.
same page. It's like, should we go out to eat? It's like, nah, like we're trying to do this goal here. So it's definitely super, super helpful. But it's definitely hard too with like friends because
Yep.
there were definitely times where someone's like, oh, like you want to go to the brewery? Like we're in town, and you're like yes, but no.
Yeah, well, dude, that's like a perfect segue. Let's get into the happiness goals thing because I think one
Yeah,
of my only ones was helping less people, and really, like I think I did a lot this year of that kind of thing. I will say out of all these goals I've made and how much I accomplished or semi accomplished any of these, the happiness goal and the helping less people, cutting people out, and like doing that, dude, that's like been the biggest thing that I've done in my life. And even though I fucking failed on most of these goals, hitting that one definitely can make up for a lot of stuff. I feel like because
agree.
I've cut out friends that I didn't really need in my life. I've made some good friends online. I don't know. I feel pretty good. No matter what happens with the money and what happens with the health stuff, if I'm like failing on something or whatever, I feel pretty good all the time. I've always told people too, like this year is probably the most different I've been in the last probably 6 years. I did more growth this year than I have in the last 6 years. And I don't know why exactly that is. I just turned 26, so maybe it's just like me fully developing my brain, not being an idiot anymore. But I do feel like there's something to that for sure.
Yeah, for me, I think this might be the section I crushed the most. So for my happiness one, it was travel more. I think it was like way too broad. So I didn't necessarily travel like to a lot of different places, but I did a lot of different things. Like I saw Shane Gillis. Went to Kill Tony twice. We saw Billy Joel. Went to a Notre Dame game. We went to two Phillies games. Like we did a ton of stuff, and we went to like another three or four concerts. Which was just insane. Like I would say I did get to go to Miami, I went to Pittsburgh, went to Vegas this year. Most of that stuff was like work related, but we also stayed like a week or so after, or at least a couple days to kind of just hang out and do fun stuff. And that was kind of a big eye opener to me because I'm very like, gotta work, can't take off, like kind of stuff like that. Um, it is also interesting for me too. It felt like such a busy year. So I probably like maybe 20 weekends out of the year, right? We're doing something. Which is a lot. Some of the stuff's like not that far away or whatever, but just travel, staying over places, that also kind of hurts the fitness goals as well because like when you're traveling, like you don't have like your normal gym or the normal food you eat and stuff like that. But this was like really eye-opening to me that it's like you could do all this stuff and your business isn't going to fall apart. It's totally fine. And I think in the past I would be like, I can't, like I really got to lock in. So this has been like a really good year for happiness, just being like, wow, like you can do all this stuff, you can travel here, it's okay to buy like tickets and relax. Like based on Instagram, people, who knows, people are gonna watch this and be like, yeah, like you gotta lock in, you see all the like all gas no brakes, like yeah, that's like great at some point, but like I kind of already did that in the past, and like this year was a really really big experience year and it was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I traveled actually more this year. And I watched that pod back, and I said that I don't really like traveling. I did end up traveling a decent bit. the comedian, same as you, and then some NBA games, stuff like that.
You went to UFC too, right?
Yeah, I did go to the UFC. Yeah, man, I definitely did a lot more stuff than I guess I thought I would. Yeah, because I usually do. I'm usually the all gas, no brakes kind of guy. But I think what happened was, let's see, that podcast was like November. Yeah, I quit Amazon like around that time and like kind of fully exit out of it by February, March. And then I did that seminar. And then after that, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I was doing like 10 different things. And then I started going like head down in the marketing thing for a long time. And then, that just kind of was like, I've talked about this on here as well. Amazon's really good about you put in stuff and you get stuff out. Like it's very fast feedback. And when it's marketing and you're building like an actual business, it's not like that at all. It's like you put work in and then you have to like really wait on the work to get, done. So that kind of threw me for a loop there, but I just got to like get used to it. And obviously I've said as well, I'm not doing it anymore at the moment, but we'll see what happens.
I was talking to someone about that the other day where it's like when you're making changes to your business and it's kind of vague where it's just like the path isn't super clear, and it's not super clear when you start Amazon either. Like obviously you gotta like buy inventory, send it to Amazon, like that part's like kind of clear, but like almost how to do that and get like a feel for it, get a routine going, that part is not as clear. So whenever you're trying to start something new and you're not even sure if that's going to be like the thing or it's the right thing, it just really makes things really confusing and could just really screw with your mind pretty
Yeah,
big.
100%. Yep. So for the wealth goals, let's move on to those. I know one of mine was make 50K profit months. That didn't even come close to happen. I did have a 50K profit month, but one of them. For the year, I don't even know, man. I'm probably like almost net negative. I'm not net negative, but I've spent so much money on coaching and like when I was doing all that marketing stuff, I was like burning lots of money on ads. I mean, I don't even know how much money I burned this year, but it's probably close to 100K, maybe 125. I mean, I've spent a lot of money this year, but like that's just kind of part of it. That's always how I've been. And then, I said I would make a big bet on crypto, and how funny is that? It's playing out right now. But I got to make a bigger bet. I think I'm going to put more money in, but I'll talk about that probably later on.
All right. Oh, that's pretty good. So mine was kind of a really big flop. So I had like two. One was to make 50 to 100K outside of Amazon. I got close probably to like the 50K. Didn't hit that specifically, but pretty big to that. So that's other stuff outside of Amazon, mostly influencer, brand deals, stuff like that. That's where a majority of that came from.
You had to be close. You had to be close to 50. You had to be close to 50.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the year plays out. Today is November 27th, so there's still, I guess, 4 weeks left. We'll see how that plays out. But that was definitely huge. I did like secure one huge brand deal that makes up a big chunk of that, which is awesome. So that was one. And then the one that was the big flop was, I don't even know if I like said what I was doing because I wasn't ready to announce it, but I was going to start an Etsy print on demand business. It was so cringy listening back to the podcast because I was so bought in. I was like, this is it. I'm going to crush this. I'm listening to all these podcasts. Like, this is my perfect skill set. And then, yeah, it didn't happen at all. And instead, I pivoted to the influencer program. And obviously, that is working really well for me right now. So there goes to show you could be like super locked in on something. And I think that's also to say I probably gave the Etsy print on demand thing maybe like 2-ish months. And I don't know. You see some other things. The influencer program obviously is just a better fit for me based on the amount of content I make. I like doing this stuff, and it just made more sense for me. And I was able to kind of start that, and then that basically just took off. And then I was like, I'm not doing this Etsy thing anymore. But like I was like really convinced, if you listen to that whole podcast, that like I was basically gonna be like, and I think at the end of the podcast, you're like, we'll see, like you're really like hyped up about this, and you're like, I've been hyped up about a lot of stuff, but like we'll see if that runs out or not. And it did. But that's kind of cool thing about having this podcast, because like you could see like lots of growth and like where you're right, where you're wrong, like just kind of listening back. And also it's like, okay, like you didn't hit the 100K, but like you got close to the 50. That's like exciting, and it's like a big thing like to do outside, or like go and so like you could see like sometimes it's hard to measure a year, like did you have a good year or not, or like are you on track. Sometimes I'm kind of in a year right now where everything's all over the place. I'm trying to find my way, like what does my Amazon business look like versus influencer versus other things. So yeah, this is kind of like a big transition year of just trying to figure some stuff out. And yeah, you could always, I think the big lesson there is like you could change your mind. Just because I said it for this podcast doesn't mean like I have to do that. And it just wasn't there. And I was like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I've tried like 50 different things this year, and I don't know. I haven't came to like a solid conclusion of why I quit on a lot of that stuff. But I think a lot of it was I just felt so much resistance to doing it, and I just felt like the payoff wasn't worth the resistance. And maybe
Mm,
I'm not right about that, but I don't know. There's some stuff that if you're naturally inclined to do stuff, and it's funny, I take all these like consulting calls with people, not as much anymore, but I did at the beginning of the year and last year. And I would always tell them, just do what you want to do. Do it something that you can do every day. And then when you hit roadblocks and like everything, you're going to have hurdles and you're going to have
yeah.
downsides no matter what. You're just going to be able to push through that if you like what you're doing. It's a lot easier. So I think a lot of stuff I was doing, I just was new to it. And this is the same with you at the Etsy thing. I'm sure it's like, well, you like are hyped up about it because you don't know anything about it, and then a roadblock comes up, and you're like, I don't even like doing this. This is like, it's not worth it for me to even try to climb that hill because I don't even
Yeah.
care that much about it. So that's kind of where I was at with a lot of stuff I did this year. It's like I would hit some kind of roadblock, and I'm like, this is just not worth it. So yeah, I learned that about myself, and I think in the future I've just got to get into stuff that I like a lot more, that I find more intriguing, and that I can work all day on. Like since I've done this crypto thing, and there's an element of like dopamine and gambling to the crypto thing. So
Hmm.
I'm not gonna completely say that that's just my willpower, but I do enjoy doing it a lot, and I do see that like literally, dude, one play can change your entire life. I mean, this week
True.
I've fumbled over 100 grand of selling stuff too early and stuff like that. Like every single week I lose out on 100K, not of stuff that is just happening, stuff that I was in that I sold too early or stuff that I sold the bottom of or whatever. So this can happen at any time that I make a lot of money doing this. So I think that might keep me going because I understand too. I know not everybody's like this, but I do think this is somewhat how it works is a lot of the stuff that you do, especially when there's not a lot of output. You put in a lot of inputs, but you're not getting direct outputs or whatever.
Hmm.
You'll do it for a long time, and like exponential growth will happen, and you will just make a ton of money really fast. And that's what's happened kind of throughout my life. Like I've made over 50K in 4 or 5 months of my life, and I made far over 50K. In the other months, I barely even touched anything over 30. I don't even know if I've ever done over 30 in another month. So, like a few moments will make up a large portion of your income. Now, with Amazon, it's not really like that. In December, it could. I made
Yeah,
like
sure.
70K one December, and like the whole rest of the year, I made like 150. So, yeah, that can happen. But a lot of times, it's just you put in inputs, and something crazy will happen. And I know that's crypto is just like obviously that's what that is. It's literally the whole point of it. But there's lots of opportunities like that. I mean, same. I think even with your stuff, you're doing the influencer stuff. What's probably going to happen is you're going to have a viral video or you're going to have a brand deal that reaches out to you that's just ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
they're just like, you were a perfect fit for our brand. We'll pay you $10,000 a month. And you're like, what? Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
or it's some video that pops off. So it's just like a lot of, little bits of stuff. And then it just explodes and you make all this money at one time. And I know that's the case because like I talk to people that are rich and that's how that happened with all of them. I met a guy who he wasn't making much money at all, made $1 million in 1 month. And then after that, he made
Crazy.
barely any money for a long time too. But he kept trying and then eventually got more stable. And then your floor becomes lower. So let's say you're making $2,000 a month. Well, maybe you make 15K a month and then you go back down to 5K and then you kind of sit there and then you just, that's how it just works when you're doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that too. And It's funny, like, I could look back and be like, "Wow, what a waste of time that was," like, kinda chasing the Etsy thing, like, all the podcasts I listened to, all the software I tried, and all that kinda stuff, but it wasn't at all, like, I learned how to make this t-shirt, like, I learned how to make some mug, like, it was all stuff that, like, I kinda wanted to do at, like, a point in my life, and I was like, "Alright, like, that's cool." Like, I learned how to use Canva better, now I'm using that for the influencer program to, like, make thumbnail designs, and I think too, it's like, when you do pivot, one of the reasons I did the influencer program over Etsy is I was familiar with Amazon. Like, I take for granted, I'm like, how do people like not know how to like almost tag a product on Amazon? Well, they don't know what an ASIN is, right? Like, obviously, like I know what an ASIN is. I know how to pull it. Like, I know software to use. Like, I could easily, pull up Keepa and find some products that like might be a good fit for me to review and stuff like that. So it was just more aligned with my already that I had a skill set. And then it's like it's funny because like my girlfriend like said, I think it was like a month ago, she was just like, oh, like sometimes I always wondered about like, is it worth doing like your Instagram and your YouTube and all that kind of stuff? And that ended up leading to one of the bigger brand deals that I got this year, right? 4 years of nothing, right? For just posting and trying to figure this stuff out. And now it's like, oh wow, like now I'm just not starting from scratch. I've been practicing for 4 years on Instagram to do these influencer videos for Amazon and eventually TikTok and all these other places. And it's like, oh, wow, it's going to happen much faster. So I think that was an important part of this too. It's like you have a good baseline based on the content you've made in the past, things you could talk about. So influencer is definitely a better fit for you. Tried it out. And for that one, I was just like, I'm going to make 500 videos and see what happens. And then it just like caught on for me like that.
Yeah, it's exactly how it works. And it's so cool to watch how like we've kind of like came throughout the last year. These things have changed a bunch. That probably wasn't even on your radar at
It
all.
wasn't.
This
It
time
wasn't
last
at
year.
all. This podcast, I was like, I think, well, that happy hour that I used to do, like that lasted about 9 months. So I'm like, like we'll see. Like, obviously, I didn't think this podcast was like, we're going to continue to do it. But I was like, like, you never know. Like, things change. Like, especially like when you stop selling on Amazon, it's like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, is there still something here? But like, it just worked actually better, I
Mhm.
think. And then like there was like a funny thing too. I think that right around that time, that was I think episode 5, like we weren't able to like remember we were trying to figure out like an image for Apple and like they kept rejecting like the image size or something.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
we couldn't even like we were like stuck on that and I was just like, man, like it's so funny to think like this might be episode 55 and like just a year ago like we couldn't even figure out how to like upload the right image to Apple.
Yeah, it is funny when you think about it like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the one thing that made this thing work better was that me quitting Amazon definitely made me. I'm just more curious about stuff. So we get
Yeah.
these like guests on. I think if I was still in the Amazon thing, I wouldn't be as curious about what these guys do. But I get on these guys, and now that you've like started doing other stuff too, I think we're just more curious about what these people do. And
Yeah.
we've already went through other business models and stuff. That's where it comes in for me. That I'm just like, oh, I just can't believe this guy makes this much money. Like, how did he even do this? And that's just pretty intriguing.
Yeah, I think too, like it just allows us to make almost better decisions. And kind of I don't know if we did it. We kind of did it on purpose. Like it was called the Side Hustle Experiment Podcast because we're just like, well, we're just interested. Like the original intro that we wrote was just like, we're gonna interview the best people about how to make money online, whether that's on Amazon. We'll probably have some more Walmart people on, like just how to make money online, giving you guys options or just like cool side hustles. I'm trying to get this one guest that I think they basically do like trucking. I sent it to you. I forgot what they're called. They haven't written me back yet. But basically they organize like they have like side hustles like getting trucking gigs to like pick up containers. It just seems really cool. So I think you're going to see more here. And I think we are positioned really, really well because I think after this whole regate thing, people are going to be looking for other options. So like we kind of had the vision a little early, and I think it's going to come to fruition now. Um, And we're not like whatever, you could do whatever you want. I'm not like bashing Amazon, but I think as we go on here, we'll still have Amazon guests and like how show you guys, get their insight on how to grow your Amazon business. We just had probably, I hope, one of our best episodes. I'm gonna be so sad if that one doesn't do well. I think it will over time, but
Yeah.
a big private label seller that you know covered a lot of stuff. So if you do not watch that, this will watch our last episode because that's when that will be up, and check that out. So many great insights on kind of where the Amazon space is going and kind of so many good insights.
Yeah. I need to get a crypto guy on here. I'm not like big into that world, and I've made a Twitter, like a different Twitter, and I just kind of like I don't really post about it. I would have the goal to grow it. I've thought about it. Maybe I try to be the person over there like anonymously, but I don't know enough about it, and I suck. I'm losing money every day, so I feel bad about trying to grow a Twitter. But yeah, I want to get a crypto guy on here, show people stuff like that. I think diversifying the guests over next year would be pretty
Yeah.
cool. But I mean, I was telling my friend this yesterday. Dude, it's kind of crazy how many guests we've gotten here. I have to give you some flowers there because I could get some people, but you've took the majority of the guesswork. But it's like I don't see the point in me doing it because you just keep bringing on. Like every person you bring on is better. So I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna let you take the reins. Like I would think that it would fall off by now, but you just keep getting on these really good guests. So that's cool with me. I think it'll keep going bigger and bigger too. That the guests will just keep getting better,
I
which
think
is
so
cool.
too. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's definitely an art, like to try to like get these people and like get them interested. And it's definitely going to get easier as like, if you have 55 episodes, it's like, all right, they've been doing this for a year. Like, hopefully we could I do think too, like we'll find our way, like with these other guests and kind of, audience and different aspects as we talk about different businesses. Or I think it's just fun because I also think too, it's like when we do have Amazon people on, um, it's like, a lot, right? It's like we knew nothing about, well, we kind of knew a little bit about private label, but not a whole ton. So like we had like a bazillion questions. Like we could have talked to Steve for probably 3 or 4 hours, like easily. Like I had like a whole list of questions that I still had. So like we'll have to have him back on. But I think that's gonna be the thing for us. It's just like interviewing interesting people that have like different doing different niches. Maybe we will have on an Etsy person or like a UGC person, more Amazon influencer people. So I definitely think, I don't know. If I learned anything this year, it's like to be diversified because while I wasn't regated at anything, it just really opened my eyes to like just being on one platform is just not a great idea.
Yeah, man. I guess the pod from the last one will come out before. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this we haven't. That was the first time we talked about that gating issue, right?
Yeah.
Or
I did a
yeah,
YouTube video on it, but like not as in depth.
yeah. Well, for all the listeners watching, I probably bragged about myself too much in the last episode, but I did feel good because that guy was super smart. And I felt like when I was listening to him, I was like, man, it's like he's listening to me because I've said all this stuff over the last year. It does feel it feels good to be vindicated, but on the same note as he said, I don't want anybody to lose money. Like I hate that, but
Exactly.
I was saying this stuff throughout the year. If you go to my Twitter, you can literally just go look at all my tweets in the last year and see where a lot of these things I said came true. And you would see people argue with me and see people like bashing me under it, or people that were subtweeting me or whatever. You can't find those, but I would see people that were like kind of just shitting on my message. But like, dude, I'm not saying this for no reason. I'm not just like having fun, like taking out Amazon stuff. Like I saw all this stuff coming. So it just feels like that's it. And you asked that if he thought it was a glitch or not. Yeah, I don't think it's a glitch either. And I think that that's just
Yeah.
part of the brands like cracking down on people.
Well, for me, like the whole glitch thing, I go back to like they did this in September.
Yeah.
How likely is it they have the same glitch 60 days later? Or probably less than 60 days. I don't remember when it happened in September exactly, but it just seems super odd to me, that that's the way. And it's just, I don't know, it's just super not surprising to me. And just listening to like someone who's whatever, if you didn't listen to the episode, he basically sold like $40 million in his own private label brand. And he gave us like a look at, he even said that you could buy his product from a distributor, right? So super legit way to do it. But he could also like serve you with an IP complaint. Like if you mess around on the listing or do whatever, he could kick you off the listing. So it was a really eye-opening, like, oh wow, like this is what brands do. Like he literally said on the podcast, he's like, I'm nicer than most, so I'll send you a letter. So he probably uses like Voorhees or like one of those people. And then if you don't, like, unfortunately, he's like, I could literally go into Amazon and just hit like, nope, they're selling this without authorization. They're probably selling a counterfeit, and you're done. And like,
Yeah,
that's how it works. And I was like, wow, if it's that easy for him, I can only imagine how easier it is for like a much bigger brand.
yeah, and they don't care about you as much. At least he's more intact with the community. He said he like
Yeah.
cared and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, off topic, is my video lagging on here?
No, not
Okay,
for me.
For me, it's lagging, but I guess that's a good thing if it's going through. Okay, sweet. So, well, next thing I want to talk about was what about the next year goals? Obviously, we'll do a full goals podcast again, but is there anything that you, anything off the top of your head that you'd like to get done next year?
Yeah, so I want to do the 100K outside of Amazon. I think that's a huge goal, and I do think I could hit it. I mean, that's going to be aspirational. So 100K made off of Amazon. And most of that will probably be profit because there's really not a lot of expense tied to like the influencer program / UGC deals and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it's my time to like film these videos and do all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of what I'm shooting for kind of wealth. For health, I want to be 220. That's what I want to weigh. So I got to lose like another 30-ish pounds to kind of hit that goal. And then I want to be more focused. I want to do less things. Right now I'm doing, I don't know, 5 or 6 different things. So I want to really hone in on maybe 2 or 3 things. This podcast being one of them, to really focus on this and grow this and, really up maybe the production or maybe do more episodes per week. I don't know. We got to kind of like think through that. But I mean, those are kind of like the 3 big ones for me. And kind of continue like doing like going to concerts and comedy shows and stuff like that. But yeah, really just kind of big growth year. Like if I didn't start the UGC and influencer thing, I probably would have hit the weight loss goal. I just really put a lot of focus into that. And like, I think for anyone, if like you're listening, it is really, really hard to do Amazon like full time and then take on something else, like work out, live a life. Like it's just really hard to do multiple things at once, especially at scale or when you're trying to scale something up, especially if you don't know. Like I was really, really skeptical about the influencer program. Like, this is too good to be true. Like it was the same exact thing when I first started selling on Amazon. It's like there's no way you could get a book for $1 and sell it for $20. Like that just makes no sense. But it turned out to make a lot of sense and it just worked out. So those are kind of my 3 big goals. And I think I want to just do a better job of tracking them, or just, I think like the weight loss goal, like when I set that and when I was listening back to the podcast, I was like, damn, I did like set that goal. And like I feel like if I tracked it, like if I had it printed out, like B220 by X date, I would be like looking at that every day. I'd be like, where are we here? So I think I have to do a better job of tracking / accountability. And on the flip side of that, I kind of forgot I said I wanted to make 50K to 100K outside of Amazon. And like getting really close to that, it was like, damn, like you said it, like not like huge in affirmations and stuff like that, but like obviously it came somewhat true by just kind of saying it. Obviously I did a lot of work. I just didn't sit here and do nothing. I made like 2,000 videos for the influencer program. So I mean, you got to put in the work, but those are kind of like the 3 things I'm going to actually track. And I think maybe I'll make a spreadsheet or something, or like one of those like glasses where you like color in or something like that, like where you're at because I think that could be super helpful.
Yeah,
What about
definitely.
you?
I don't even know. I'm trying to think about it as you're saying all this. I mean, I don't know what the next if the crypto stuff continues into 2025, I'll be doing that 14 hours a day until I hit a big one. Like, and I'm fully ready too. I think that I do have this, not to boast or whatever. I do have an ability to like see things before they happen a little bit in these markets, like not in the crypto stuff, but just like overall, I can tell where these trends are going. And like, yeah, I've been right about a bunch of stuff on this podcast. People can like see that. But even in high school, I sold like fidget spinners and made $1,500 because I saw that trend before other people see it. And I think with this crypto stuff, it's going to be really, really big in the beginning of 2025. So I just want to be positioned there and be ready for what's going to come there. Because I think eventually everybody's going to be doing it in 2020, like early. Like everybody's going to be trying to put some money in, try to make money with it. And you just need to be positioned beforehand. And then after that, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if I could, hopefully I make enough and I could just kind of chill and do whatever I'd like. But if I don't, then I'll just go right back to the marketing. I'll figure out some other company I want to start and try to figure that again. But I'm betting on the crypto thing. And I'm not for sure about this yet. I've got to think about it before the end of the year because I do think I have enough time to think about it. I've not lost much of my net worth this year. So like it hasn't changed much from the beginning of the year till now. But I don't know if I want to put like a significant portion to crypto or not, because right now I'm just like gambling these low cap coins, which is like I put in $50, it's going to zero or it's going to 10x or whatever. And some of these have worked out, but I've been on like a pretty bad streak recently where I'm just like burning a bunch of money. And I'm trying to figure out if it's better for me to just buy into more established stuff with like a $5,000 entry and then wait for a 3 to 5x. And I mean, you only do that a few times, and I've made like over $100 grand. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do there. We'll see. I just got to think about it because if it all goes to zero and it doesn't play out in 2025, which I think it will, then I'll just end up losing all my money. But I'm not sure because you got to have the money. You can't just like make it out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I can't
it's like selling on Amazon. Like you need money for inventory. Like how you get that money is like, whether you leverage credit or like you have it in the bank. It's different for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm not exactly, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but we'll see. I'll keep the people updated. Maybe I'll come on here one day and I'll hit it big. Last time, I fumbled so many yesterday. It was crazy. I probably fumbled 15 grand yesterday and instead lost like 2 grand. Yeah. It's just like about buying and selling at the right time, obviously. And I'm just not patient enough, I think. Like sitting here, like they just fluctuate so much. Like these things will go down 75%. So you're just like, I want to leave with something so it doesn't go to zero. And then you leave and then it shoots up to 5 million. I've just lost out on 10 grand. But yeah, that's why I think more capital comes into play. I just got to have like more darts out there on the board.
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. I feel like it's always hard when stuff like that happens. I'm sure it's super hard for you because you have all these things in your head. Like, oh man, I could have made 15K on this. Oh, I could have made 100K on this. Oh, I just lost out on this. And you're just kind of like constantly chasing like the next one. And you're just like, is this the one that like I sit on and hope that it goes? And then if that doesn't happen, you're like, oh, I'm not doing that next time. So it just seems like this crazy like roller coaster that doesn't have a ton of rhyme or reason to it. Which is interesting. I mean, that's like kind of the one thing that, well, it's not even guaranteed, but like if you spent a certain amount of money on inventory for Amazon, like you have a certain expectation of like what you could get back. It's a little bit more calculated. Like if you buy 100 ASINs, like maybe 10 are going to be home runs, 50 are going to be like middle of the road, like decent, and then you'll probably lose money on 20, let's just say, and then maybe whatever percentage is left over does a little better than average. So yeah, I guess it's like similar. But yeah, that's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, it's all mental, like 100%. Like the reason. So yesterday I lost out on all those trades, and I go like, and they call it revenge trading. You're just like trying to make your way back, but you just making bad decision after bad decision. You just burn the whole thing. I just saw myself doing that yesterday. I was like, I ended up burning like $700 after realizing I missed out on so much money. So you just like gotta stay in like a good mental frame of mind. I believe that's
like,
kind of the whole thing there.
It almost seems we both watched it, like the GameStop, the Netflix stock, where everyone's like, no way, I'm already 20K in, we're riding it, and then these people like lose their house, and it's like, shit. Like, but like they're still like, so they just get like, you know what, like we're gonna let it ride, like it's coming back, and then it doesn't come back, which is interesting. I also think it's it'd be interesting too, like I hope you do like win big, but we're at a casino, in Philly. We went to, I forgot why we were even in Philly, and we stayed at the Philly Live, which is like a casino there, and we were at a machine, and I was playing roulette or video poker or something, and the lady across the way like is playing, and like the bells like start going off or whatever, and I was like, oh damn, like congrats, like how much did you win? And she's like, only 1,000. And I was like, oh wow, like she must play a lot. Like if she's not pumped to win $1,000, so she gets all the vouchers out, and somehow she like splits them up where like each voucher is like $100, and then she's just putting them in the machines. Like she went through, like she burned I think $700 in like I don't know the next 30 minutes, and she probably continued to play. We had to leave and go somewhere else, but I was like, damn, like she basically just probably pissed away all the money, if not more.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. When you're on like the pursuit of chasing something big, you're probably gonna like burn it 1,000. That's literally the same scenario I'm in. I mean, I'll make $1,000 on something. I'm just like, whatever. Like I got to make 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000. So I'm gonna just put it back in. You just lose it. But that's kind of the nature of it too. I heard somebody give an analogy like poker. I don't know if you're like super familiar with poker, but
yeah,
the crypto stuff's kind of like poker. Like you get in a hand, like you might get dealt terrible cards, and that's just part of the game. And then you might get dealt pocket aces sometimes, but like you have to come back and keep playing. Like sometimes you got to rebuy. Like if you want to win, like you got to keep going back to the table. And if you're at the table long enough, you play poker long enough, like you're gonna win. It's just about like not quitting and not like zeroing out. Like that's what they call like crashing out and zeroing out. As long as I don't crash out and burn my whole net worth, which is super unlikely that would happen, then I'm fine. And even if I do, I can always just go back to doing something else I know how to do. So.
It's actually probably exactly like almost video poker. Have you ever played video poker?
Yeah.
Like basically, like let's just say you bet $1 and you're dealt pocket aces, so you know you're gonna get that $1 back, but you're hoping to get like the next 2 aces and a 2 or whatever to get the 4 of a kind. But like you just end up playing. You're like, all right, I got my $1 back. Then you put it in again. Then you get 3 aces or whatever. Then you get nothing, and so it's like this constant battle, and you're just hoping for that, like basically the royal flush. Like that's what you're hoping for, and I don't know. I have yet to get a royal flush, but I'm sure someone gets one every day in like one casino somewhere in the world, right? Like it happens. But I think that is kind of like, probably what the crypto is like.
Yeah, 100%. Like, somebody's winning every day. Like lots of people winning. I see proof of these people winning every day. It's just about, I don't know. Like, can I be the one that does it, I guess, which we'll see, man. We'll stay tuned.
That's what I forgot. The other thing I want is I want to have a viral TikTok video and get approved in the TikTok affiliate program.
Yeah, that's probably just a short time coming.
That's going to be a short time away. And I think for that too, I've come to the realization, like probably after the last podcast, where they were just like, when he was like, oh yeah, UGC is dead, like, who knows about TikTok shop and all this other stuff. And I think in anything in general, like there'll always be winners and there'll always be losers. And, I think there's room for like anyone to win, right? Like you see, like I'm in this group for UGC and TikTok shop and the influencer program. It's like this circle community, and you see people win every day, right? Yep. And they all kind of have the same story. Like I posted 100 videos, I posted 200 videos, nothing happened. I was getting frustrated, and I was like, let me just do a stupid video, and that one goes viral. And now one person in the group made, I think, 50K in literally 48 hours. Like they were just like, yeah, I went to, they were selling a cosmetic or something, and basically they went into Ulta and was like, "Hey, this is the price in Ulta. This is the price in the TikTok shop. Like, basically, like, don't tell anyone you could get it. Like, Ulta's gonna be mad if someone's something like that, some like catchy thing." And it went basically viral, and she made 50K in 48 hours just on that. And it's like, damn. And she's like, I wasn't expecting to go viral, like I had no makeup on, like, people said like they were making fun of like how she looked and like all this stuff. And she's like, if I was expecting it, right, people wouldn't have been making fun of me, and like I probably wouldn't have went viral. So it's just
Mhm.
like totally caught off guard, but like they put in the work every day. And I think that is just kind of like, yeah, is Amazon like saturated? Is it a bad opportunity? Like there's going to be huge people that just win selling on Amazon. So like it's possible, but like you really have to, there's really not that time where I think anyone could just go like half-heartedly and just kind of like do it every once in a while, or like you have to be serious about it. Like I always say to people, it's like if you want a 9 to 5 like salary from this, like you got to put in 9 to 5 hours at least in the beginning. I mean, you could outsource and do stuff like that, but I mean, you're not going to become an Amazon millionaire putting in 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think the advice he's given about that stuff, which like he's kind of speaking in generalities, which I like to do as well. It's just like the general consensus is like this stuff doesn't add up completely, and the most people that go into it are going to fail. That's kind of like how I think he was meaning there, because it's like
Yeah, for
no,
sure.
it's possible to be successful. He was also saying, the guaranteed way to be successful is just to own your own brand over a period of
Yeah.
time, which is also true. That is going to make you successful, guaranteed.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we got let's go for about 10 more minutes or something. What
Yeah.
else you got on the agenda? I'm heading out of town today, so you know, not too long. But yeah, what else you got? What can we chat about?
Trying to think. Are you gonna plan to do any TikTok? I know you've talked about
Yeah,
potentially doing some of the TikTok affiliate stuff, or I think 2 episodes ago you were talking about like you sold some protein bars and made some money.
yeah, I did. I made like 30 or 40 bucks or something. Probably not, because I'm just so locked into the crypto thing. That's what I'm going to do nonstop. Like I haven't really worked this hard on something all year. When I was doing all the Facebook ads and that kind of stuff, I was pretty locked in. But this stuff, I mean, I've just been like, I haven't even got off my computer just doing this all the time. So I'm going to take advantage of that while I can. I guess I'll get into the TikTok shop if I blow all my money, but we're a little bit away from that at this point. I hope it doesn't come to that, but I know the opportunity is good. Like I made money doing it. It's when I live streamed for
True.
like 30 minutes and made $35-$40. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, how about this? What made you? Because I think a lot of people might be questioning like about what they should do with their Amazon business or Walmart, or where they should be going, or they should just stay the path. Like I feel like you went pretty far down the path doing what you were doing with your offer. Like you invested a lot of money, a lot of time. So like when do you think someone should walk away? Or like why do you walk away, I guess? Because like you were pretty far deep in. I mean, I was pretty far deep into Amazon and decided to diversify as well. So kind of what was your thinking?
Yeah, I just didn't see like a path. I didn't see. I had saw a path at the beginning, but I just like I stopped seeing the path of it, and I also realized that the way that I had such stuff structured wasn't going to work. Like I'm not this guy who can manage people and do this kind of stuff. Like that's really not me. And I think that I thought that maybe that's what I wanted to do, and it's not. I'm just this
Mm,
type of dude who can put his head down and do a lot of work. I just need a task to do all day, and I can do it. And as long as it's like somewhat creative as well. But that's just kind of how I am. So I think that if I don't know, I didn't see the direction of where I was going with that stuff, going in that direction. But also, the crypto thing just popped up. Like it just popped on my
mm,
radar, and I'm like, I'm going to drop everything to do this, because that's what I did with during COVID. That's how I started reselling. I was looking for a
right.
job. I was just living with my parents looking for a job. I had nothing to me. Like my bank account had $600 in it or something. So I saw that opportunity, and I'm like, I have to do everything I can to take advantage of that. And this is kind of what I see now. Like I said, I'll come back. The marketing stuff is not. I'm still passionate about it and
Yeah.
everything. It's just right now, I know for sure I can make good money really quickly. And the marketing stuff, it's hard to make it really quickly. I'm trying to get rich quick out here. That's what everybody's trying to do,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
true.
Byron Golden has a video, and he's talking about like the only way to get rich is to get rich quick. Because if you don't, you don't get to spend time. Like you're burning time. It's either money or time. So you need to get as much money as you can as fast as possible, so you can use the money to buy back your time. And that's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
what
a good
I'm trying
point.
to do here. And I also thought, you know, I guess this goes back to the goals. I thought that I want to make 50K a month or 100K a month or whatever. But like I've never done anything like that before. I've never been consistently making a lot of money per
Yeah.
month. I make all my money in spurts. So I would rather get an opportunity where I can make a lot of money in a spurt, and then I'm kind of done with
Yeah, I
that. That
think
works.
that's a really good point too, because I think for me, when you see this stuff online, it's like, oh, you make 50K a month or 10K a month. It obviously it's like kind of like Amazon, right? Like it's made to be like so easy. Because like let's be honest, when you find, I'm sure you're seeing this with crypto, right? You're probably seeing someone that's like, "Oh, I made 50K today on crypto." So you're going to follow him. And then someone's going to retweet him. He's like, "Well, I made 20K." So then you follow him. So now you just have like a feed of people that are just absolutely crushing it, and you're like, shit, like 100 people today probably made a total of like $20 million in crypto. I can't make any money in crypto. Like, what am I doing wrong? But like, you just read a tweet. Like, you didn't read all their tweets. Like, they
Yeah.
were in a spot where you are right now, most likely. Um, Losing money here, making some money there, losing it all again. Like, there's like constant back and forth, like ping pong. Um, so I think there's something to be said about that. And I think it's just like, it's just hard. Like, it was hard to like make this money outside of Amazon. Like, I had to make 2,000 videos. I went to like a whole bunch of Airbnbs. Like, I had like 300 or 400 packages like sent to this house, and like open them, like research them, make a video about them. Like, it's just a lot of work. And I think you got to find something, like you were saying earlier, that you're going to enjoy doing. Like, I love getting like packages from brands and be like, oh, like this is a cool contraption. Like, I just got the other day like almost like a meat reading thermometer that's like awesome. Like, it's
Mhm.
just so cool. So I love getting stuff like that. So I feel like you just got to kind of pick something you think you're going to like, and don't be afraid to pivot. I mean, I think you've talked about it more on past podcasts, but like, what is it? The sunk cost fallacy, maybe?
Yeah.
Like,
Sunk cost fallacy.
yeah, like you like spent a ton of money on mentorship, and built out like a couple TikTok accounts and Instagram accounts, and like really built those up, and like you're just like, yeah, this
I'm
isn't
done.
for me right now. Maybe it is later on. And I think stuff like that too, it's like you just never know. Like, just because you walk away from something or diversify into something else, like usually it is somewhat easier. Like, if you're going to make the transition or split your time and money between Amazon and Walmart, um, it's going to be a little easier going from Walmart, because you already have knowledge selling on Amazon. Like, you already know the sites that you can get this stuff at. You just don't know the tools and the research tools and kind of the intricacies of Walmart. So, but it's going to be a little easier to figure that out because you're already used to sourcing and doing all this other stuff. For me, that's what the influencer program was. Like, I knew how to operate on Amazon. I'm kind of familiar with like kind of like their shitty like back end stuff, so like it's not surprising to me. Like, like I was saying before, I know what an ASIN is. Like, people are, how do you tag this, where do you find that? It was just so easy for me to kind of just realize exactly, knowing how to read a keep it chart. Like, how fast does this thing sell? Like, should I waste time making a video on this? It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I just bought something the other day that I'm kind of curious. I'm not going to say what it is, but I honestly think I can make money in commission based more than I paid for it. So I'm kind of doing a test on that. Um, but yeah, it's just super interesting. So I feel like sometimes people think that, you know, I thought the same way. It's like, oh, I'm an Amazon bookseller.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, right now, but then it's like, well, I can be an Amazon seller. So then I went to OA, and now I'm doing the influencer program and still doing OA. So, you just build on each other. And I think one of the cool things too is once you kind of build, well, this has been my experience and it seems like it's been yours as well. As you kind of grow something and have like success in one thing, you're more selective about the next opportunity
Yeah.
because obviously you're moving from the opportunity. So in your case, selling on Amazon, so you're like, all right, like maybe here's what I didn't like about Amazon. So like this next business can't have what I don't like about Amazon because like
Mhm.
that's why you're moving, or you just kind of stick with that. Um, and then like you're just kind of trying to figure that out, and it's just been like crazy. Like I'm gonna be really interested to see where we're both at this time next year, and kind of like what everything looks like. I mean, we could both
Yeah.
be broke and like need a podcast sponsor, but I mean, I don't think
More
that will be
likely.
the case, but it would be really interesting to see. And I think it's just human nature too in business. It's like nothing stays the same. Everything changes. I mean, look, there are people who have millions of dollars tied up in Amazon inventory because Amazon decided to make a change like that.
Mhm.
So you have to pivot, you got to move. And I think that's probably my biggest advice for anyone. It's like, don't be afraid to make a move. Obviously, you know, you don't want to be jumping from thing to thing to thing. But if you start to see like warning signs or things that like, you're like, you know, is this, I think a lot of the things too is like, is this getting easier? Is this getting harder? Is this trending in the right direction? How do I feel about that? I think those are some like really good questions to ask yourself, and then just be honest about it and upfront and just be like, yeah, like I'm not feeling this anymore. And I feel like sometimes like you got to push through that because obviously sometimes you're not going to feel like, I didn't feel like going to the gym today, but I pushed through and went. So that's a good example. But if you keep like getting, like you were talking about before, if you keep having that like resistance, definitely look into it and be like, why do I feel this way? Like I used to be really excited about this. Why is this no longer the case?
Yeah, there's usually a pretty simple answer to most of it. Yeah, I think a lot of people, which yeah, it's not to discount the fact that you need to persevere and work hard. I'm not trying to say that either. I know you're not trying to say that, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, you just have to. I don't know. You don't need to punish yourself for no reason. I think these guys online kind of say that, and yeah, if there's a reward at the end that you see is worth it, for sure. But sometimes, yeah, it's gotta be. I think maybe it's the goals. I don't know. There's some type of answer to this. I'm sure that is better than what we have for it. But I don't know, man. If you're, especially the people on Amazon right now, if you're just sitting there like, what do I do? I'm nervous about this or whatever, dude. You can quit, man. Like I was making a lot of money. I was an established guru, all this stuff, and I quit. Like if I can do it, you can do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I remember in middle school, I'll give a little story to like end this off. I was a really good basketball player when I was young. I was like one of the best players in the state in middle school. And I decided my eighth grade year I was going to play football because I don't know, I was taller than all the other kids. I thought I was really athletic, so I thought this would work out well. Like a week into football practice, one of these kids is like one of my friends at the time. We were doing a drill and he just like, dude, knocks me down like hard. We weren't even wearing pads, just like helmets and shoulder pads only. And I got home and then my dad took me out and he was like, well, they're going to put you at like tight end or whatever. So I'm going to throw you a pass and then you're going to come across the middle and your mom is just going to like tackle you or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. It's not going to be that bad. And she just like hit me over and over, just like a thing. And he's like, well, that's going to happen to you like way harder and it's going to hurt really bad. And I was like, I don't want to be a quitter. I don't want to do all that. But he wanted me to quit. So whatever. I see in hindsight too. It's like I could have just ruined my basketball season doing that. But like what was the goal of the football? Like I wasn't going to play in the NFL. I wasn't even trying to play in high school. I just
Sure.
wanted to play this for 1 year. But the downside could be it could ruin all this other stuff that was going on with me. So the lesson I learned that was like, dude, it's definitely okay to quit. You can quit on something that you just see no future in. Like you don't have any aspirations, And if you're not even that excited about it, I wasn't even that excited. I'm just happy I was playing football with my friends, I guess. But I didn't even want to play football. I hated football. I still hate football. So there was no point in me even
True.
really doing that. But I guess I got the pressure of like, oh, well, like I'm in it now. I can't quit. And the coach, he was even like, well, is there any way we could use you on this team? You know, you're athletic. Like you could really help us. You're, you know, one of the most athletic kids. And I'm just like, I just, there's nothing that's going to help me stay here. Like I do not want to do this at all. I don't want to get hit. I'm a pussy, all this stuff. And I'm happy I did. You know, yeah, I probably would have got hurt. That's kind of how I look at this stuff. It's like, don't do it just because you have all this pressure to do it or whatever. And a lot of times, figure out what the end of it is. If you're not trying to play college football, you're not trying to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Same thing. If you don't think you can make $1 million on Amazon, your goal is to make $1 million, then don't do it. Go do something else.
Or definitely, if you're trying to like, you got to do the math and like see like, okay, like, do I want to spend $500,000 to do $1 million in sales? Or yeah,
100.
if you wanted to make $1 million, you probably have to sell about $10 million. And I mean, obviously, depends on what you're doing. But I mean, I think that, and then I guess one last thing I think too, that's like important. And I think we've seen it for both of us is like having like a sounding board. Like we text all the time, like, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that idea? And like being able to be honest with the other person, like, yeah, I don't really think that's a great idea. Like Drew's definitely said that to me a couple times. I've said that to him a couple times, and it's just like, and as I think it's like hard sometimes to find that because a lot of times you're just in your head, like it's just me like sitting here, right? And it's like, oh, should I do this or should I do that? And you don't really have someone, right? I could be like, oh, should I do marketing or something? Should I run Facebook ads? I could like debate that in my head, or I could just talk to Drew and be like, yeah, like here was my experience with it. Like I kind of know you, and like I don't think you're gonna like this. So having a couple like sounding boards and like people in different places could definitely be super helpful to kind of get that going as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I got to pop off here. So close us out. Hope you guys enjoyed that podcast. Think our goals. We'll do another one on the goals at the end of the year, probably. We have like more concrete stuff, but going over them, that was fun.
Yeah, for sure. So if you guys want to drop your goals or just let us know what you think about our goals and kind of anything that we said in this podcast, just drop them below. Like, subscribe, share the podcast, please. Leave a review. That would be amazing. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.